Hey guys, welcome to this video where I just explain how I go into teaching while I make a poster. So teaching in the UK is a very different system to other countries, so this is very UK based. I pretty much got straight out of university and knew that teaching was for me. I knew that teaching was a career that I liked. So I'll just tell you a bit about how I started off, how I knew that teaching was for me, and then how I got into it. So the first thing I did was I gained some experience just to know if something along the lines of teaching was for me. I started off in a tuition centre while I was studying. And I think it was a great opportunity for me to know whether or not I liked teaching children. So it was a great experience. Obviously, it was a part-time job, so I had some money on the side, which is a bonus. Found out that it was for me. I would tutor every weekend here and there. And it was a really, really good opportunity for me to teach children. And I actually found out that I enjoyed it. So it was a really good start for me to find out that I liked it. I liked it as a career. I would say that if you are going to go into teaching, no matter the year group, no matter how young or old the children are, if you're going into a primary school route or a secondary school route, then I would say do get some teaching experience, whether it's a tutoring centre or just a classroom for a day or a volunteering experience. Just try and teach in some way before you consider doing this as a whole career. There have been many people that have gone into teaching and a year or two into it found out that it's not a career for them. So save yourself the time, save yourself the hassle, and just get some experience just to know if something like this is for you. I went down a primary school route because after tutoring the children, I found out that actually tutoring primary aged children was for me. I enjoyed it more. I got more out of it and they got more out of it too. So I decided to go down the primary school route. That's ages 5 to 11. The secondary school route is from ages 12 to 18 from what I understand. But both of them obviously have the different routes. So you have to decide which age group you would rather teach. So the next step that you would then have to consider is how you're going to get your qualification. So after you found out that, oh my gosh, teaching is for me, yay, I found my career. Now, how are you going to get there? So I decided to take on a PGCE. That's just a postgraduate certificate of education. That's just a qualification, an official qualification to tell you that I have some sort of teacher status. Now, you can go down many routes. Some people can go down a schools direct route. So that's basically when you go to the school or to a school directly and tell them that you want that experience. Many schools offer some sort of course for people that want to train to become a teacher. And usually they can either be paid or unpaid, or you could go down the university route and you can get the qualification from there. Now that's where I got my PGCE, and I personally like the PGCE route, but obviously do your research, find out which one is for you. Some people would rather get paid while they're doing it. Other people may have already worked in a school. You might have been a teaching assistant in a school and you want to stay in that school. I think schools direct would be better for you, but do your research. For me personally, I just came out of university. I didn't really want to go straight into school. I wanted to get that smooth transition, so I wanted to go down a PGCE route. So that's basically where you go to a university or a specific place that offers a PGCE that you can take. Now, I can only speak for the PGCE routes. So if you do want to look at the schools direct route, then do research that. But the PGCE route was a really, really helpful transition. Of course, you have to bear in mind, you do have to pay the tuition fees because you are doing it through university, which wasn't great. So I'm a little bit more in debt. However, it worked out better in the end. For me personally, in the course, it was quite intense. I mean, it is going to be intense for any course you do. But for me, or for anyone doing the PGCE route, it was a lot. You had to do portfolios for your English and for your maths. You had to write up lesson plans. Like, you actually had to write them up. And for almost every lesson that you did, you have to write up how you could have made it better. Oh boy, it was a lot of work, a lot of paperwork. So the university, they try and teach you lots of subject knowledge, because obviously you need to know what you're teaching at the end of the day. But after they do that, they do assign you to certain schools to work at. Now, I had 2 schools that I worked at in my placement, but for you and for the university you go to, it might look very different. So they would put me in a school, they would put me to a specific classroom with the class teacher. Now, the class teacher in that class is usually your mentor, but sometimes that changes. Then you have a mentor that teaches you things that, you learn from. And my mentors, personally, they were absolutely fine. So they just teach you how to do these things. Then they'll observe you. So then they'll observe you teaching, then they give you some feedback. After they've done that, then people from your university will also come and look at your lessons and see how good they are. I will say it was a bit stressful, but this is all happening as a beginner teacher. I don't have much experience in a classroom, so of course it's going to be a bit stressful, but me being me, I still liked it, I still enjoyed it. So there's also that to consider. After that, it's pretty much, you have finished your qualification. But there are certain teaching standards that you do have to tick off. So if there is one teaching standard that you are not doing right, then they might fail you in an observation. They might say, hey, look, you're not qualified enough, so we're going to need a bit more from you. In extreme circumstances, I have heard that they've extended some people's courses just because they haven't got their qualification, they haven't been passing the observation. But that's in really extreme cases. And again, I can only speak from what I've heard. I can't speak for what other people have heard, So my observations were okay. Some were obviously better than others. Others were not that great. I will tell you, it was not easy. It was not easy at all. We would still have to go to university sometimes and do some courses. So there was that. And with the teaching standards, there are 6 criteria that you have to achieve. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I'll put a picture of them somewhere up. And if there's one you're not doing right, depending on your mentor and how strict they are, they might fail you. So just bear that in mind. But that's in extreme cases. A lot of times they are understanding and they know that you're at the beginning of it. And after the academic year finishes, towards June or July, you would have got your PGCE completed. So then the next step comes, how are you going to find your job? How are you going to now start teaching in your class? So the next thing I then had to do was find a job. It was during my PGCE that I was told, hey, look, you got to start finding a job ASAP because those jobs go. And the people that told me that were sort of right, depending on where you are looking for. The application process to become a teacher in a school is totally different to an application that you would see in a corporate job, for example. You don't just send a CV, there are specific application forms you have to complete, and then comes the interview stage. So once you give an application in, usually a school will then contact you and say, look, we'd really love to see what you're about, come for an interview, you're going to teach a class for 10 minutes for this group of children. And it depends. Some of them will tell you exactly what they want, others are more relaxed. So I applied to several schools. Some of them obviously rejected me, but one of them accepted me, and that is actually in the place that I'm still currently working at. I'm in my almost fourth year of teaching, and it's the same place that I applied for when I was doing my PGCE. So the way it worked with me was I was accepted for an interview after applying for a school. They do encourage you to check the school physically, go there for a little school tour before applying. So that's exactly what I did. And after a few days, after I saw the school, checked around, had a little look, then I gave them my application, and they said, hey, we would like to invite you for an interview. I got an interview. I taught a group of children an English lesson for around 15 minutes. And then came the interview process. They just asked me a few questions. Now, depending on the school's priorities, they can ask you a bunch of different questions. They will all be related to what you have already been used to learning in your PGCE or your teaching course. However, I could make a completely different video on the questions they will ask you. They could ask you a ton of questions like safeguarding, working in a team, and adapting for different needs in your class. It could be anything. So I completed the interview, then I got accepted. It was a short-term contract, but it was a contract nonetheless, and I wanted it, so I said yes please, and that was it. It's no longer called NQTs, but it's called ECTs, so you're an early career teacher. However, they've extended the program, so now you have to stay in a school ideally for 2 years, and then you are fully qualified as a teacher with no mentors, and you are free to do your own teaching without a mentor or anyone kind of mentoring you. So that's basically it, guys. That's a bit about what I went through, how my experience was. It was pretty straightforward. However, it's not going to be the same for everyone. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll try my best to answer them. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are teaching, or if you are wanting to teach, the very best of luck to all of you. Bye.